Okay, because I've been struggling, I wanted to show how to reassemble the tension of this machine. It's the Domb-b, sorry, Super Zigzag. All the Super Zigzags are pretty much the same. They have this tension mechanism. Okay. So I got it, and I've been working on it, and then I realized whoever put this back together, they didn't put it back together. So I've been trying to figure it out because none of my machines actually are similar to this one. This actually is very similar to an industrial one. Anyway, so I'm going to take this apart. So first of all, right here, right there's a screw. This screw, you have to take it out. It's, where it is. It's one of these little guys. And this whole mechanism will pop out of this hole. Okay, so, ta-da. So once it pops out of the hole, you've got this device, okay? So here's what we're gonna do. Take it all apart. So this little tension spring, this is very important. I have not successfully found these tension springs, and they are similar to the other machines. Not these exact same ones, but what I have been able to do is if you look up industrial machine tension spring on eBay, they have one with just a solid curve. It honestly, it doesn't look the same, but it works the same way practically. So I have successfully replaced with these broken tension springs with those, and it's been fine. It basically looks the same. So in order to get it to go out, you would have to bend it. So it's not that big of a deal if you're a handy person, okay? So it looks like this. So we're gonna take this whole thing apart. All right, so here you have this little rod. Don't lose that. So you have a little screw right here. So let's say you have to replace your spring. You're gonna have to undo that screw which I just shoved in there, okay? So it looks like this, okay? So then your whole thing comes apart. This is your pocket where your tension spring is going to sit. So if you see that, it's going to sit in there and it's going to move between those. There we go. It's really hard to record this way. Between these two areas. You see that? That makes sense. Now what holds the tension spring in place, and this one's kind of convoluted already because whoever was doing this shoved this in backward. It was a nightmare. Anyway, so this one's a little messed up. But normally it goes on really easily. Here, it pops off. So here is your shaft, your little rod. And this little rod has a little groove right there. This little groove is a little dirty. I'm gonna fix that. Okay. So this little spring pops on, and behind the spring, you see that little guy right there? Okay. So that is what's going to fit into the groove. So I'm going to just wiggle that on there because mine is a little messed up. And if you can see that, that little groove is going to enter that little section. Okay, see that? Do you see that? I think you can see that. Yeah, okay. I think you can see that. There. So basically that's it. So basically that holds it, and so you can bounce your little spring and it's going to pop right back up. Okay. So part 1. All right. Part 2. This is your part 2. So as we discussed, this is where it moves freely. You're just going to pop that right back in there. See? Moves freely. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And this guy, don't lose him. Okay? So now you need to, I guess we're just going to screw this closed. So I'm going to put your screw right in there to reassemble the first part. Do not tighten your screw fully yet. Okay, so I'm just going to put it in so I have it. It's not going to be tightened fully yet because part 3 or 4, whatever we're on, you see those 3 little notches right there? Those little notches are going to go on this little notch right here. So watch that. I'm going to slide that right on. See that? Make sense? Okay. So, oh, sorry. I'm backwards. Notches this way. Slide that on 2 notch. So you have 3 options there. You get 1, 2, and I think 1 is here in the beginning. I'm really sorry I'm recording it this way, but nobody's here to record me, you see? That way it does not move. So I put mine in the middle, and that's, so this is where you adjust L. Okay, the reason I said don't tighten it is because you just want to make sure that this all fits properly and that it's, you know, slightly moving correctly. So now that, you know, mine is all fitting and everything's correct, just put your spring. Oh my God, sorry. See, that's what happens because I didn't tighten it. Okay, put your spring back in and make sure it's traveling between those 2 shafts. And now bring it to its utmost position. Upmost, so this is downmost, and it's going to hit the floor. So upmost, it's going to be at the ceiling. Don't want to overdo it. Just, you know, nice and gentle, like right there, and secure your screw. And the screw has to be nice and tight. Okay? Because it will, once the whole thing tightens, it's going to move the whole shaft, so you don't want that to happen. Okay, so looks like this, right? So this is your ceiling, there's your floor. It should be able to spring down to the floor, back up to the ceiling, right? And yours probably looks better than mine because mine's a little messed up. All right, so now we're going to put this back on. See, with those little ridges right against that little guy. And you can put yours at the very beginning if you want a really strong tension spring. In the middle. Oh, wait. I lied. The opposite. So, well, okay, so beginning would be the highest one. You see, so see how high your tension spring is? Then middle, and then lower. Okay, so I'm putting mine in the lower because it's going to start right here where my hole is to travel. You see that? And this is where you can adjust your location of your tension spring with a screw. So you can kind of move it down a little bit if you don't like the position. I'm going to move it down a little bit. Ugh. Okay, so because I like to have my spring not too high up, because too much tension, you see where I like it? Like that. Too much tension on the spring can cause it to pop. So you don't want to overdo it. So I like mine to start about right there. And then you can adjust it, you see, with those little ridges right there, those little holes, if you want it to readjust. See, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I know this is really slow, but if you're confused, this helps you follow it. Okay, so this is where we are. Now, we're going in with discs. One disc is going to be facing outward. That's the smooth side. Other disc going inward, like this. Okay, so that way you have your 2 soft parts of your disc, and that's where your thread is going to go right in there. Oh, okay. Now, Mr. Rod. Mr. Rod has a little head. The little head fits between these 2 and goes all the way down and drops through. It's very important because when your foot goes up, this pushes it out and it releases your tension. So now, this little guy. This little guy is what's going to block that rod from just popping out and being useless. See that? So when we push the back of our rod, that little guy goes up, see? Okay, now spring. Okay. Now, this is the part, and this applies to a lot of these machines. In order for the 0, I'm just going to hold it, my spring, with my very filthy fingernails. So in order for the 0 to be on top, there's a little itty bitty spiky thingy right there. You see that? Okay. I'm sure you saw that. So that little guy is your stopper. So you see right here, I have my line. You want your 0 to be lined up with that line, obviously, because it'd be really weird if that was 10, but you were at tension 0. So this is where this guy comes into play. This guy needs to go on so that, okay, put him on this way. You see how I'm positioned? Okay. This way. So there's my line. Goes like this. so that this little rod, that little pimple right there, which is my 0, catches against that and does not move further. So I'm pushing all this down together and I'm pushing this in and okay. So there we go. So if you rotate it, it cannot move further because that rod, that little dude, this guy, is stopping it. So if you put it in backwards, I'm going to show you what happens. So you see I put it in this way. And you can just play with this. You don't have to like stare at the video and be like, oh, which direction do I put it in? Let's say I put it in backwards. This way. Upside down. See? So I'm going to put this on. And I'm going to rotate it until it stops. And I'm stopping at the 6. You see, at the 8, sorry. At the 8. So that doesn't work for us. So when you rotate it to the right, clockwise, you want it to stop at 0. So then you know you screwed it up. So flip it. Da-da-da. Da-da. And put this back on. You don't have to like line it up or anything. You'll figure it out once you rotate it. So we're just going to keep rotating it until it catches. It's caught. See that? It's caught. Okay? So it's caught. Oh, I missed it. I lost it. Hold on. Yeah. It's very hard watching this backwards, but okay. So it is now caught. All right, so you want it to be around the 0. It's not exactly on the 0. It's around the 0 because we're going to go in the opposite direction. So as long as it's around the 0, you got it right. So now you're going to push this all the way down. You're going to put this. This also has a pimple. There's so many pimples on this thing. See that? Okay. So that is going to go into your 0 notch. So 1 twist. And then once you circle all the way around, you want to line up that pimple with the notch that hits the 0. I'm doing that. Okay. See that? All right. So now, I totally missed. Okay. Hold on. Had it a minute ago. Okay. I'm going to do this again. Oh, I'm not crazy. I had this. I'm going to do this facing it, just make sure that I'm not messing it up. Okay. So, oh my gosh, just get in there. There. Okay. Okay, you know what it was? All right, so when you're checking the location, you're not rotating it clockwise, you're rotating counterclockwise. So counterclockwise, and then you should line up with a 0. Okay. So I'm going to go clockwise. So I put this thing on and I'm rotating counterclockwise to make sure that I have the rod in the correct place. And then you should be at 0. Okay. So now push this all the way down. So 1 rotation all the way around until you find that 0. Okay. There is our 0. There. Okay. So I'm at 0. See? And then I can tighten it to 8. And I can loosen it to 0. Tighten it. Mine actually goes only to 8 because, okay, so that's the other catch. The more rotation you have, the tighter you are on it. So if you end up where you cannot tighten it all the way to your 10, you may want to try your rotation again with maybe a different start point. Let's see, I'm going to try that again. There, okay. 1. There, I got it. Yeah, so you see, it lines up at 0. So I didn't start it, so let's take this off again. So I started with the little pimple down, and then, actually, yeah, down, and then I basically just did half a rotation until I got to 0. Yeah, so half a rotation was enough. And then if you're trying to unwind it, it locks it, see, so you can't just pop it open. Okay, I hope that this video was helpful for you and will save you some agony. Oh, and then to pop it back in, then you want to line it up. So sorry. Okay, you're just going to line it up real straight, pop her in, and you want your little line, where am I? Right there. Little line to be facing upwards. Your tension spring should be nice and free if you mess around with it. And then you're just going to put your screw back in where it belongs. Where am I? Oh my God, this is so, there, right there. and then just tighten it up real good. And that's it. Okay. I hope that that was somewhat helpful. If you have any questions, ask.